What's up, everyone? So today we are going to be filming a tutorial on playing adapted golf, or just golf in general. Now the purpose of today's point, or today's sport, is that we're going to be going over golf, and not necessarily in the traditional fashion where we've got a couple different clubs and the balls, and we're going to be hitting it into the holes, into the cups. Rather, today we're going to explore different movements, different activities that we can do in a low pressure, low stress setting that allows us opportunity to practice those skill sets. So since we're at the park, I probably won't do too much of the actual golfing. I don't want to ruin the grass. But we're also going to do things like throwing. So we're going to throw golf. Set a station up far away. We'll work on our throwing, both overhand and underhand. We'll be working on kicking. So soccer golf will do just the traditional kick or drop kick. We'll be doing our version of frisbee golf. And lastly, striking, similar to the golf club. We'll be using a tennis racket. And as I mentioned, these are all ways for us to practice that skill set of these four sports in a low pressure setting, working on spatial awareness, accuracy versus force, and kind of building that idea as to how we can be creative with the games that are being played, and like I said, not necessarily your traditional golf setting. So before we get into this, we will hop into a warm-up, something real easy, just to kind of get the blood flowing. So we'll start off with some neck rotations, going full circle in one direction, slow and in control. The thing with this today is there's going to be a lot of twisting, a lot of rotating. We're going to switch. So we want to make sure our body's nice and loose. Don't want to get hurt. As we work our way down, we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. Get nice and loose. Since I'm demonstrating all of the different activities, I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to warm up the entire body. Next, do some back twists. Fill that out. Now we want to try to do at least each stretch a minimum of 10 seconds. Obviously more is great, but 10 seconds is that minimum. Awesome. Next, we're going to do some side bends. So we're just going to go here and back up, really opening it up. Waking up these obliques, as we're going to be doing, like I said, a lot of twisting. We'll switch sides, a lot of turning. We want to make sure that we really wake up that side of our body, get it ready to go. Next, we'll do a big hug. Get those arms into it. Obviously, we want to get here, but if we just need to make it easy, do a big hug. Switch. Next, we can do some big hula circles, like SpongeBob. Take it around town. Get those hips active, those glutes active. And then we'll switch. Next, we'll get down, shoulder, feet a little bit further, shoulder width apart. We're going to spread out. We're going to go hand to opposite toe. We're going to reach down, come back up, come back up. I don't actually know what these are called. I always forget. I used to call them tsunamis. I don't know why. We call them our twists. Toe touches. lastly, just put our feet together, and down, try to touch our toes. Alright, should be good to go. As we move into the next part of this video, I wanted to preface this with, ideally we've had some introduction or background information placed on throwing a frisbee, hitting a tennis ball, kicking a soccer ball, kicking a ball, throwing a ball. Try to establish those movements early on. So if it wasn't just myself, we would sit here and we'd warm up, have a partners get together and work on their throwing back and forth, their kicking back and forth, the striking or frisbee tossing, to really just get that basic movement down. Obviously, warm those muscles up, get them ready, because we are going to get into essentially a game in action. So we want them to loosen up those muscles, those joints, and we'll get into it. So essentially, so before actually getting into the actual game, I wanted to take some time to discuss some of the benefits of this. As I mentioned before, this is a low stress environment. There's no competition amongst your classmates in a sense. Obviously there will be some internal battles between maybe classmates or groups or whatever. But most importantly, the great thing about golf is that you are trying to get the ball in the least amount of throws as possible, or least amount of hits as possible. With that said, it is more so similar to track. You're competing against yourself and your personal scores. So you want to make sure that you are doing your best to try and improve off of what you did previously. And so I will have set up about 4 different holes that we can work with. And obviously, I'm going to do my best to try and not talk too much and show you what we are actually going to do. But just different ideas to test, like I said, force versus accuracy versus strategic plays. All of that can come into play with golf, especially when it's not the traditional end, and we can really manipulate the course, the opportunities that present themselves. But another great part of this is the constant movement. So when you throw your ball, you're going to expect the students to walk over, pick the ball up, reset, make that next throw. And if they finish all 4 or 5 holes pretty quickly, we'll make them do it again. Same with the tennis or hockey or whatever. We're going to have to bend over, pick up our ball. Not hockey, sorry, frisbee. We're going to have to pick up the frisbee, reset. All those minimal movements that we don't really think about when we're planning it out are really handy for that functional training, the functional movement. A lot of kids aren't going to have the opportunity to bend over, pick something up as much as they would if you think about the functional movement, bending over to pick up the frisbee, somewhere bending down, tying your shoes, grabbing your pencil that you dropped, lunging back up. Just working those muscles that we don't really have to talk about, but they're working on. And that's the beauty of a game like this, is the aspects that don't necessarily have to present themselves verbally, but definitely will show up once you actually get into it. Another great part of this version of our golf game that we're playing with the different variations of balls and actions is we can really mix it up. So when we do our throw, we can work on the overhand throw, step and throw. We can do the step and throw, making it extra hot. We can do the underhand. When we do our soccer, we have the ball on the ground, we run up to the ball, kick, we can start off right next to it, kick, or we can do the drop kick, with tennis, we can do the underhand serve, we can do the side hit, or we can do the overhand hit. Either one. With our frisbee, we can do the forehand, backhand, and so on, and just mix it up. Really work on those opportunities. We can make rules in place that are for the first throw or the first kick must be a drop kick or an overhand throw, or you get X amount of drop kicks, yada yada yada, and we can really manipulate when they do the underhand toss, when they do the overhand toss, however we want to approach it. So right here we're going to have the first hole. So in the first hole, we are going to have a throwing station, a launch pad in a sense. And what we're going to do is we are going to have what I'll run through each single option right here is the throwing option. We're going to try to aim for the orange bucket on the left. That will be our initial spot. So we'll just do our step and throw. Go short. While we let it finish rolling, we go pick it up. Straight on throwing. If we do the kicking, we're going to say that we want to make it between the orange. So we're sitting here. So far, we're going to have to reset, go get it. Next, we'll put the tennis one up, and for the tennis one, we're going to want to put it right in the middle between the 4 buckets over there. There's orange and blue. Not bad, actually. Not bad at all. We'll walk over, pick it up. Our frisbee here. The goal is to put it right in the middle. Tell I'm still not very good at frisbee yet either. Skill set of our students. There's our first set. We set up hole number 2. Now for the next hole, we want to make it a little bit more challenging. Nothing too crazy. We want to make it a little more, I guess, hazardous, as they would say in golf. We want it so that there are things in the way. So I don't know if you can see it from that angle. Let me take a look, but we are aiming for the orange bucket, which is just behind the yellow bag. So it gives the students the opportunity to strategize how they want to approach this. They could attempt to kick the ball hard and hope that it bangs its way through. They kick the ball around, or they can try to kick it over. So obviously for throwing, I would try to make the barrier as tall as possible. So let's imagine it's as tall as the tree. We'd have a couple different options. We could ask the students to try to throw it over the tree, which I did a bad job of. Got a second ball. It's a little bit harder. So we get the chance to go back, trying to make it in that orange bucket. And then we're on the side. We're pretty close. Try to throw it overhand, which is a little difficult. Or it could be underhand. Now we would do the same for soccer, saying that the ball is, we're trying to get it between the two orange buckets like a soccer goal, which is behind and perpendicular to where we are. So we want to make sure we can either get over it or around it. Try to set up the second shot. Do the frisbee. You can make rules like the frisbee can't touch the tree, or can't touch the blue, or it's a loss of a point. So we're here. Throwing it. So that's hole number 2. As I said, some manipulation in the way, making them really have to work for it. As we get to hole number 3, all set up, and hopefully I don't get pulled over by these cops who seem to be circulating me. So, Dr. Siebert, I didn't do it. I promise. Now, hole number 3, we're adding some more manipulation, some more obstacles. So as you can tell, I'll scoot back. We are in a L shape going straight up to the right. L shape with some boundaries. The idea is to keep the ball within these boundaries. If they are not able to keep within these boundaries, it's considered out of bounds, and they will have to restart or go back to where they last hit. So with our throwing motion, we're going to try to get on that right side bucket. With our soccer ball, we are going to try to get it through the buckets, right, starting with our point right here. And what we're going to do, or what we're testing right now, is to make sure these kids have the accuracy and appropriate force to stay within these boundaries. A kid cannot just come up and kick it as hard as they want, or try to kick through to the goals. We want to make sure we keep them within these boundaries to understand how much force can be applied before actually reaching that area, or if they need to put a little bit more because they had some room to play with. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you down. We're gonna try this again. We're gonna do it with pretty much every tool that we're working with. As you can see, if I just go ahead and kick it too hard, I gotta go get it. Go ahead and reset that. So out of bounds, already one shot in. I'm gonna reset and try to do better. If I can keep it in bounds. As you can tell, stayed in. Need a little more room though. Got a little more room to play with. Nope, couldn't get it. Couldn't get it. So next for us will be throwing frisbee and tennis. So if we're doing tennis, same difference. Trying to find it in those spots. I'll hold off there because I'll try the frisbee. Try the throwing. Hey, that worked, kind of. Forgot my tools. Kind of frag it. That'll do. As I said, just a way to kind of keep them on their toes, keep them thinking, keeping them strategized. One of the things that we can do is we can have them play in this L shape. We can have them do zigzags, so they're constantly working that motion. And we want to make sure we're keeping score of how many times we've hit the ball, because the next time we play, we want to try to do a little bit better, try to stay a little more consistent. Now the last hole I'll show you is going to be our big hole. It's going to be hole number 4. It's going to be the distance, the very, very far one. Now, for this last hole, what we're going to do is we are going to have, it's going to be a little bit further. It's going to be a little more distance. We want to see these kids try to test themselves, make those big throws, those big kicks, big tosses, big frisbee tosses, whatever our action is. And obviously we want to keep it straight, but we do want them working on just being able to throw it as far as they can, kick it as far as they can. And the beauty of this one, in like many other golf tournaments, you can make it the closest to the cup award, where you try to throw it as far as you can, but you still want to measure who was the closest they could be, who was the straightest shot. So you could put a tape measure down and see who's able to make it, keep it very linear to that midline. There's a lot of things you can do here, but I think it's fun because it allows the kids the opportunity to just go for it. So here you'll see me take the big crow hop throw. You'll also see me take the drop kick. I'll do the frisbee. We'll do the tomahawk throw with the frisbee, but it's a foam frisbee, so it's not gonna be pretty good. And I won't actually go try to finish it off. We'll see how close I can get, and we'll call it a day. So, got a tennis ball, soccer ball, frisbee. We're trying to get as close as we can to those blue goals. So for the frisbee, my tomahawk throw. Not too bad, a little to the left. Tennis ball. My arm has deteriorated during COVID. Nothing left in the tank. And the drop kick. That might be a hole in one. Oh. So, as I mentioned, just some easy activities to keep those skill sets engaged. and to just keep ourselves out of the routine of partnering up, kicking the ball back and forth, playing the typical soccer drill, baseball drill, tennis drill. Just an alternative option. Change up the scenery, and get them out moving. Get them almost like an active rest day, but it's still working those fine motor skills. I think that's all I got for today. So have a good one. Thanks. So I didn't do a great job, I think, on this video. It was really hard to film. I kind of underestimated exactly how much work was going to go into filming it by myself, not having someone to warm up with, someone to follow me through the holes. But I think the key points for this video for me to take away and share with everyone is that it is a game that does allow you to practice those movements, those skill sets in a different environment. And like I said, this allows you to practice those skills in a power setting, an accuracy setting, a power and an accuracy setting. It allows the students to work in a low stress environment where they're just trying to improve off their previous abilities or even figure out their abilities amongst those parameters. It allows them to use strategy as we put them through variations of movements, like I said, the underhand, overhand toss, or the tomahawk frisbee throw, the forehand, backhand, etc. The list goes on. And then the manipulation of the different courses, the different distances that they have to adjust to and use their speed or use their power and accuracy skills to complete the course. Like I said, the skills are put in place in a very a different environment. It's not us playing tennis on the court or frisbee in an ultimate frisbee game, or to play catch. We're playing golf, soccer golf as well. And like I said, the biggest thing that the two big takeaways that I like about this, one I forgot to mention, but the first one I did was the functional movements that come along with these skills, the bending over, the walking, the picking up of the objects, bending over, all that stuff is great. And then the last part that I really forgot to mention, and I really do like to use, is when the kids say throw their ball down to the hole and they go walk over to pick it up. There are times where you can ask them to give me a 30% jog, 50% jog, 70%, 100%. Give me a sprint to it. Who can finish the hole the fastest? Who can? You're gonna have to gallop to your ball, or shuffle, or backpedal. You can really build it. You can bear crawl. You can build in these opportunities for fitness throughout this game as well. It doesn't just have to be a low pace, slow pace jog or whatever. You can really decide how you want to approach this, and it's very open to interpretation. You can do underhand tosses only, whatever. I think it's a very fun opportunity to teach kids how to play their favorite sports in a variant environment. So, thanks.